pretty cool how the NFL trade deadline actually has some transactions. I remember for the longest time, NFL trades were such a rarity, and there would be absolutely no action on the trade deadline day. So the fact that there's actually trades on the trade deadline day in the NFL is a pretty cool thing now. No blockbusters, but still, activity is pretty cool. Not as active as like other sports like NBA or NHL, but you never know. The NFL is always evolving, and maybe it could get to that level one day. That'd be definitely extra entertainment, even though the NFL is already the most entertaining sport of them all. But exciting to see where it goes in the future. So the Cincinnati Bengals made a very, very good trade, in my opinion. They sent a seventh round pick to the Bears for Khalil Herbert. Now, Khalil Herbert is a pretty good back. He hasn't really put up the numbers this year due to just the Bears' depth at the RB position. They brought in Swift. Roshan Johnson is a young and solid back that they invested in and want to develop. So by default, he kind of fell to that third RB on the depth chart. And in the past, it's his fourth year in the league, and he has had some games as a starter with Justin Fields, and he looked really productive, and he looked like a legitimate running back when he was RB1 with Justin Fields. It was for a short period of time, but I feel like Bears fans can attest that Khalil can play, man. He can play. And he's going to a team that doesn't really have the best RB room, and I totally expect Khalil to make a difference on this offense. I'm really excited to watch him play with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to really help that Bengals offense. I really think they acquired a gem here. So if you're a Bengals fan, it may not seem like a big move or a game-changing move, but you got to be fired up a little bit. And if you're not yet, just give it time, because he'll put on a show. Believe me. In his first 3 years in the NFL, he eclipsed 400 rushing yards in each of his first 3 seasons, including 733 in 2022. And it's such a big move for the Bengals too, because Zach Moss is out indefinitely with a neck injury. Anytime an RB or just any player in the NFL has a neck injury, pretty serious stuff. So right away, Khalil's going to get a lot of opportunities in this offense. And the Bengals need all hands on deck. They're playing a huge Thursday night football game, which I'm really fired up about. I'm sure everyone else is too. Cincy at Baltimore. They're currently 5-3, going against the 6-3 Ravens. So a huge AFC North battle there. The Bengals, of course, blundered their last game against the Ravens, which they should have won in overtime. But that defense is just atrocious. I really would have liked to see the Bengals add some sort of defensive piece to just help that defense, because it's one of the worst defenses in the NFL, if not the worst. I would have loved to see Marshawn Lattimore or just try to get some pass rusher to the Bengals, but that's too bad. And that's the thing about this Bengals team for the remainder of this year. Hypothetically, like, Joe Burrow is on pace for a crazy statistical season. I believe he's on pace for 40 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards. Like, he's quietly tearing it up right now, and that's the thing, man. Like, that defense is awful, but that offense is pretty great right now. It's clicking on all cylinders, and I'm just hesitant on their potential for the remainder of this year, just because of how awful that defense is. Man, if the Bengals had an average defense or like a top 10 unit, this would be a Super Bowl series contender, in my opinion. Hypothetically, even if the Bengals make it to the playoffs with this defense, that would be a feat in itself. And considering the fact that they had that terrible start to the year, for Joe Burrow to really will the Bengals out of the graveyard and back to the playoffs, That would be really impressive stuff, and I'm sure Zach Taylor would really appreciate that as well. Honestly, I've touched on this in previous videos, but I'm not really a big Zach Taylor guy. I feel like if the Bengals don't make the playoffs this year, I would probably can Zach Taylor. I just don't like how, in every single year he's been the head coach for the Bengals. They've just had slow start after slow start after slow start, and I'm sure he's a decent head coach. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he has control over the locker room. I'm sure he's a good guy, but I just feel like you need to pair someone better with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a special talent, man, and we've seen his injuries, and he doesn't have that injury-prone label, but he's close to that, and you just don't know how much time you have left with him playing at an elite level when there's always a chance for a serious injury to occur with him. So you really have to be vigilant of the time he has in his career. So why not try to go all in and pair him with a great head coach, or just try to upgrade your head coaching position, And I know the Bengals are a cheap franchise. They're notorious for that, but man, we'll see how it all plays out. We'll see. We'll see. Let me know if y'all like the trade of Khalil Herbert to the Bengals. I know Brown has looked pretty good so far, and he will probably be the RB1 for at least this game against the Ravens, but I'm telling you, Khalil could overtake him at some point this year. And would you rather have the Bengals added a defensive player instead? Let me know. So the season is kind of winding down, already over halfway done the year, which is crazy, and the Bengals are right there in the mix of things somehow in the AFC playoff picture. And I just really want to go through the rest of their schedule quickly to see if making the playoffs is an actual possibility, which it is. When you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow and he's healthy, anything is possible. A Super Bowl appearance is possible. And that's crazy to say, but Joe Burrow is that special in my opinion. So right now, they're currently the 9th seed in the AFC, one win back from the Broncos and the Chargers. They're currently 4-5, tied with the Colts. And the Bengals have a huge game, like I said, this Thursday against the Ravens. Must-win game. I feel like every game from here on out is a must-win game, but huge game at Baltimore. That's going to be a tough game, but it's definitely winnable. We've already seen the Bengals almost beat the Ravens, so should be a 50-50 game, man. Should be very exciting. Then after that, they're at the Chargers, primetime game, Sunday Night Football game. Another huge game, especially for that AFC playoff picture. They're right there under the Chargers, so that's a game they got to have. And then they have their bye week, week 12. And then in the month of December, Steelers at Dallas, at Tennessee versus the Browns, and then the Broncos. In the month of December, really the only challenging game on that slate is against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I totally expect the Bengals to beat the Cowboys, Titans, Browns, and Broncos. Let me know if you disagree with me on that one. So if you're a Bengals fan, you got to be pretty fired up right now. You're right there in the most important stretch of the season. Can they make it to the playoffs? Can they run the table? I feel like that schedule isn't that bad. They just have to get through Baltimore and then the Chargers, and once they get to the bye week, they really only have the Steelers to worry about in the month of December. But then again, with that defense, who knows, man? Every game is probably going to be a shootout. Every game is going to be close, but if Joe Burrow's healthy, you have Jamar Chase, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So let me know if y'all think the Bengals are going to make the playoffs, or do you think they're just going to miss out? Do you think they're going to fall apart? And if the Bengals do miss the playoffs, would you fire Zach Taylor? Let me know in the comments. If you made this far, please subscribe. How about your boy a ton? And that's all I got for right now. Peace.
Tackles made. And a run back of about 9. What a lucky play that time by the return team. They fumble the football. Nobody's hustling, but somehow they find a way to recover their own fumble.
Handing the ball off hasn't been something that's worked for either one of these teams today, Phil.
Well, what you have to show on the offensive side when you want to run the football, you got to show some determination. And the guys on the offensive side just get tougher and make it work.
First down at the 29. LeGarrette Blount with the grab. Gets about 9 on the play.
Patriots coaching staff has done a good job of mixing things up today on first down. The pass catches the defense off guard. They pick up solid yards. Now it's second and short.
Brady's got 2 tight ends on the field for this snap. Second and short. Outside now on the toss. And the tackle is made right around the 39-yard line. He's now over 50 yards rushing.